Good evening. I would like to welcome everyone to the special city council meeting on November 30th, 2021. Let the record show that all councilors are present. Meeting called to order at this time. Just to go over a little bit things, this is just a meeting because it's a conceptual, so there's a lot of things going out there on Facebook, in the public and everything. Probably 3/4 of it's rumors. This is a conceptual. What you see for drawings are conceptual right now. Nothing's been voted on by the council. Nothing's been set in stone. This is just something we've asked the city administrator, or intern city administrator, to do a couple things. He's done what we asked him to do. There's, like I said, there's things going out in the public. If anybody who knows me, I could care less about Facebook and what's said. If someone wants to say something, you can say it to my face. You can call me what you want on Facebook, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to speak for the other councilors, but there's a lot of stuff. This is conceptual. So we're going to have a meeting, and I'll do it what I always do. It's a public forum. You have 5 minutes to state your issues, and that's it. We time it, and that's how it is. Like I said, we don't let our meetings get out of control. We have committee of the whole meetings that go 4 or 5 hours. We get out of control sometimes with the councilors. But at a meeting, everything's by the books. So, and that's how I run the meetings, and I run the meetings. So that's just how it is. The mayor runs the meetings. And so we're going to start out, like I said, there's a lot of rumors going on there. Nothing's been voted on. Nothing's been decided yet. So I just want to state that before we get going. So, okay. There's one letter that was put in front of us. I'm not going to read that right away. We're just going to, I don't know who signed first. I just grabbed them. I was going through the names. First up, we have Brian Perpich. Just state your name and your address.
Okay, my name is Brian Perpich, and I am here. My address is actually in Chisholm, but I'm here representing Hibbing Chisholm Youth Hockey. And we've been working with Pete for a long time. On September 21st of 2020, our board unanimously agreed to commit to a long-term lease rent, which would guarantee Hibbing Chisholm Youth Hockey a minimum of that we would purchase or rent 1,100 hours. And I know that there's stuff going out on Facebook, and I just wanted to clarify our state of affairs so that everyone understands what is actually up here. First of all, our fairgrounds arena, which is owned by our association, is on its last legs. For the last 8 years, we've been saying if only we can get it out for 5 more years. We currently spend just on unforeseen repairs and maintenance anywhere from $10,000 a year to $30,000 a year. And we also think that we also don't have enough money in our appropriations. If the plant goes down and it requires a complete rebuild, it would basically be the end of Hibbing Chisholm Youth Hockey, which is quite important to Hibbing and Chisholm. Likewise, in Chisholm also has an issue with their ice plant, so they're kind of battling the same thing. We are currently actually getting ice time at outdoor rinks. We have the demand, and in the last 10 years, we have built up through golf fundraisers and whatnot to raise money, and we have put that money aside, particularly to enter into this long-term lease. We have that money reserved. Like I said, I've previously wrote expressed that we would obviously love to see this go forward. If it doesn't, it could be a matter of one pump fail, and that could be the end of our hockey association. In addition, I just wanted to point out that the 21-22 season, Hibbing Chisholm Youth Hockey hosts 13 different tournaments, with 2 district tournaments and 1 region tournaments. We have 122 different teams coming to the area, 30 of which are on the range, so I would say 92 are more than an hour away. Now what that means for this town is additional incremental revenue. Now, I don't have a feasibility study on what the economic impact is, but I'm sure every tournament is $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to the restaurants and other places of business. And that is why I think it's very important that we do everything we can. And trust me, you have my word as the treasurer of Hibbing Chisholm Youth Hockey, that we will do whatever we can to work with the city and come up with the rates that are fair for everyone. And really, we're crossing our fingers and hoping that nothing happens to our plant, but we feel like this is the only way that we're going to be able to sustain our Hibbing Chisholm hockey program. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Okay.
Any questions?
Questions, councilors, anything? Councilor Bayless.
I'm just curious, you said the Chisholm rink is also in rough shape over there too with the ice plant?
Yeah, last spring, they had a crack in one of the pipes that leaked all the chloride out, and that was a $7,000 fix. And they looked at long-term solutions, and the long-term solution, which is basically the same thing that we have at the fairgrounds, which is completely build a new ice plant. And I know that they have had the bond, people that are the bonds people from the state of Minnesota review that,
yeah.
and the bonding people, and that's on their agenda as well. So I'm just afraid that if we lose one or both those rinks, we're not going to have anywhere to play, as ice time really is critical for the development of our players. I mean, to this end, we are a nonprofit organization. We are focused on developing life skills for our young athletes of the game of hockey. This is our motto. We foster a positive culture, personal accountability, a safe and healthy learning environment, mutual respect, contemporary coaching philosophies, and fun above everything else. So we just want to make sure our kids are having fun and they have an outlet for some of their energy in a positive manner.
Brian, I got one question. Okay, you said you're youth hockey, Chisholm Hibbing Youth Hockey is willing to sign an agreement with the city of Hibbing?
We've already voted on a long-term lease agreement.
Okay, and that's already voted on, it's signed, everything?
Our board has approved that on September 21st of 2020.
Okay.
Now, so that means that we will enter into an agreement.
Yeah.
As long as we can get a minimum of 1,100 hours. And if not, I mean, we would take more, provided the demand was there.
Okay.
And that rate, we could, work on, whatever it would take to make that happen. We could, look at more fundraising, look at other opportunities, but we're just trying to let you know our commitment is long-term. We believe that there's also synergies of having the Memorial Building staff. If you have one rink and you have one Zamboni, you can facilitate and clean ice every other 30 minutes on each sheet, and that way, because we're employing a full-time person all winter long to run our plant. Similarly, and I'm not sure, I don't know who runs the Memorial Building, but I do know it's city operated. And I think that there's some synergies to be gained, and I think that's how we have to start looking at things as we go forward, because the dollar doesn't go as far as it used to. And one of the things that our association really prides itself on is keeping the cost as low as possible for the families.
Okay.
Mayor?
Counselor?
If you're okay with sharing, I mean, so we have numbers, what do you think the Youth Hockey Association is prepared to partner with dollar-wise for what is your 1,100 hours worth to you?
Well, that's obviously open for discussion, but anywhere from $100,000 to $150,000 is what we currently estimate. Well, that's basically our year's cost, and there were some anomalies that happened last year with the public utilities. That one day of spike cost us quite a bit of money, but in that range is kind of what we have just for our arena operations.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Answer your question? Okay. Any other questions for Brian? Thank you, Brian.
Yep, thanks.
Okay. Okay, Carl Kohler? I'm not very good at names. Everybody knows me on the council, so if I say it wrong, just let me know. So,
Hello, Carl Collier. I live on 207 West 27th Street, in Hibbing here. Before I moved back home, I used to be a maintenance and operations specialist of Ramsey County, which runs the largest ice arena system in the state. So I just kind of have a few questions. So regarding this project, is there going to be a feasibility study? I mean, I know we have a cost-benefit analysis that was put together by the Landon Foundation, but I mean, that's a feasibility study would, you know, kind of analyze what we currently have and what we need and what our options are going forward. Reading the price tag to me of $40 million or thereabouts, 40 to 50 seemed like a lot. So, you know, other options, maybe the city buying the fairgrounds and rehabbing it, you know, making it a little better, putting a new ice plant in. Are there other options available to the city long term, you know, versus just go ahead and build, you know, as we're at? So is there any?
okay, I can sort of answer some of those. There was a planning group that did this a while back, okay, and I know what you're talking about. This is, like I said, this is just a conceptual thing. I've heard some people just want an ice rink. Some people want a wellness center and ice rink. Some people want a convention center, ice rink, wellness center. That's why I said what you're seeing is just conceptual drawings. That's why we wanted to have the public talk, just to see, so that, yeah, you might read the article today, whatever, like I said, that's a conceptual, the article. So it might not be 40 billion. If people wanted just the ice rink, then it might be lower than that. If they want, you know, so to answer the question, is 40 million the set price? No, it's not, first of all, on that question, okay?
Okay.
Feasibility study, like I said, we just started talking about it. What brought this meeting right now to this point was about buying land, okay? Mm-hmm. That was the first step, and we've had arguments about it. I'm not, you know, like I said, we have long committee of the whole meetings, and we're not always nice to each other, but we do have a great council. I think we work well together. We got a good mix. Some people with a few more years, some with a few less, but like I said, so that's why this meeting came today, to see how the public felt and everything else. So I can't answer every one of your questions. I'm just going to want to say that we want to be open to the public, okay? The whole council does. So,
So
we
a
haven't even got
feasibility
that
study would allow us to determine exactly kind of what
Yes.
the city needs and what's best for the taxpayer's dollar, right?
yeah,
You know, long term, right?
yeah,
Because that's what we should be concerned with is,
yeah. And that's why I said this is just the conceptual drawings right now. So, okay, does that answer that part of your question?
yep, that's good.
Okay.
How exactly do we plan to pay for it?
There's another question we've talked about at some committee of the wholes, the sales tax. We haven't, but a lot of this has to go through legislation and to the voters too. So there's
Okay.
things we've been throwing around. So we have talked about that, councilors. You can chime in, but we have talked about
I'll
it.
share some if you want.
Go ahead.
For me, I mean, the mayor just mentioned a sales tax, and that's just one way that a lot
One
of
way.
places fund these types of projects. And really, if you think about that option specifically, it allows some of the 122 different teams that come to town, like Mr. Purpich was talking about, to help actually pay for some of this stuff when they come visit. If there's a sales tax in Hibbing, it's not just Hibbing taxpayers absorbing the tax bill for a new building. It's people that are coming into town purchasing, using our facilities, you know, buying our food from our restaurants, and they're contributing to our project and using our facility at the same time. So that's one really constructive way of helping fund a project like this. There might be other ways. There's private money that people are willing to help put into this project. There's a lot on the financial end that needs to be discussed and figured out, but that's, again, that's part of the concept. You know, we're here and we have, you know, some of the drawings and stuff that are prepared that are up for you to look at, and this is kind of a, you know, bird's eye view of what we could have if we decided to go full spectrum and build everything we want. Well, that's kind of what we're looking at. We have the right to choose what we do and don't put into it, right? But to me, we need to look at all the options. You know, there's tons of funding options, and we're looking at all of them. So.
Okay.
And that's only one way to go about it. Like Councilor Bayless said, you know, you can do a sale tax and when it's paid off, that's done with the sale. I mean, there's many ways to do it, but that has to go to the people too. So, like I said, there was a lot of rumors started happening, talk and all that, you know, and that's why we just said we're gonna have a meeting, okay? And so nothing's set in stone right now of anything, really. So,
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor.
however, I do appreciate you bringing these questions forward for us for consideration and to think about, so thank you for that.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor
Is
Hibbing.
Carl?
Yep.
Carl, and I don't think we're planning on doing anything in the near future. This is maybe even a couple years out. So we're prepared to do what's best for the town, and there's no set plans at this point. But I think it's a fluid target. We have to find out what is best for the town and answer these questions along the way. So we'll do our best as we go forward. Maybe it's less, maybe it's more, but I mean, I think the $40 million that was thrown out, I mean, that would be like everybody got every wish they got. But we have to kind of go through and see what's best for the town, and I think the council is prepared to do the research along the way.
Okay. Does anyone know what our current ice utilization rates are between the 3 facilities we have in the area? I mean, primetime ice, after school, weekends.
What the utilization is?
Yeah.
I can tell you the Memorial Building goes till 9:30, 10 o'clock every night, 3 o'clock. Figure skating goes on through the high school teams to youth hockey. I would think Chisholm,
Pete, I can tell you,
Brian?
my 10-year-old practices in Chisholm at 8 o'clock or 7:30 at night sometimes. We have to use the Bryan Park outdoor rinks in the middle of the winter at the old Jefferson rinks there.
So probably 90% of or
Yes.
above. but
It's
we don't-
always being used.
prime time ice,
Yep.
yes.
Yeah.
Always.
But there's no exact number. That's
I don't have
And that stuff, we're gonna, you know, we need to get numbers and everything before we even, you know, go ahead with this, like I said. So, you still have time to ask more questions.
One more question.
These are good.
What are the actual
My
utilization?
timekeeper's back there, but go ahead.
What are the actual utilization rates of the Memorial Building? So out
You
of the
just said you're done, but
16,
no, you can have a few more minutes.
I
Go
mean,
ahead.
but out of the 16,000 people or whatever we have in this community, how many actually step foot inside that building every year?
Well, you know, the building's not just used for hockey.
I recognize that.
You know, so I don't know the numbers. I'm sure Nick or Pete, Nick's our new city service director. He's taken over for Pete, but I'm sure they can get some numbers. You know, and that stuff, these are good questions, and that's stuff, you know, that we need to answer.
Mr. Mayor,
Do you
the
have
economic
numbers?
impact study that was done by the Landon Group, cohort group, was done by University of Minnesota. That would have your answer.
Okay.
So we can get you a copy. I think Nick is here.
I have read it.
If you want to stop his office, he can certainly get you a copy of that. It was presented to the council in a meeting, so it was presented to them. It was paid for by the group and done by the University of Minnesota. But it should have everything that you'd want to know. in
It
that
is
study.
pretty old though now. And some of
Not
the
really.
data
It's
in there-
2018. That's not that old.
We're losing 0.5% of population every year. And some of the data in there is actually from 2014, and they're just fixing it for inflation, so.
Well, you do use history on any project that you do or impact study, you do use history. So
I recognize
this
that.
is the most up-to-date one that we have that was done by the University of Minnesota.
And if, you know, and like I said, that's things we can talk about too as a council and at our committee of the wholes, you know, how much update, you know, how far we want to go back, or we want to update more to get at more accurate numbers and that. So, like I said, that was done a few years back. Like I said, I'm not going to argue with people about numbers and that. If we need to look at doing a study again, we can do a study again. You know, I mean, and I'm not going to promise anybody, whoever knows me, I don't promise anything. I just said we'll have to look at Councilor Bayless.
Yeah, Mayor, so I appreciate the questions that you have, but I'm curious if your questions are rooted in why put money into a building that nobody's using, and if, you know, and if that is the case, that is exactly why we have the drawings. There's more stuff in those drawings than we have there right now. It's gonna drive people to that building instead of beg people to come there.
Hopefully.
Well, and that's the point, right? So for me, that's where I look at this and really reason with why would we do it? Well, because we need to have more activity there. We're gonna put more things there, so.
Almost
And
all
what-
these questions would be answered by a good feasibility study.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Any other questions, sir?
that's all I got.
Okay, thanks,
Thank
Carl.
you. Thank you.
Okay, I got two more people in person, and I don't like doing this, but it was put in front of us, and I was told that I'd read it. So listen, when I read this, this is not my views. This is a person that dropped off the letter that can't be here, and I will talk back to a couple points in this letter that, and I'll get to the points when I get there. But this was dropped off at City Hall. They were told I'd read it. So, like I said, I just want everybody to know that I'm just here as the person to read it. This is from L. Sampson, 2020 East 41st Street, Hibbing, Minnesota, 55. Didn't even know how to put the address in, but I'm gonna leave that at that. Okay. To the city officials of Hibbing and residents, in response to the 11/30/2021 informational meeting for the Memorial Building expansion, the very minimal information that has been given is a price tag of $20 million. I have been told by a counselor there has been $5 million of private monies secured for this project. Will this become public information of who and how much will be donated to the cause, where and how much of the rest of the funds are, where they're going to come from, just for the financial part of the project? A clear and precise package percentage, not dollars, need to be determined. Due diligence. Like I said, I'm just reading what this person dropped off. All the counselors have this. We know of the federal infrastructure bill passing. Will steel, concrete, and all of the other building materials skyrocket as we've seen in recent months? Could inflation raise costs 10 to 20% after the facts? Who will pay for added costs? Then he has taxpayers. Other concerns. Just bear with me, I'm trying to read this. Disrupting neighborhoods. Will there be sufficient parking for school activities, churches, family gatherings, if and when activities are being conducted at the Memorial Building? 2, when will we be shown prints of the project and the study from the Blandon Foundation findings? Some of this stuff has been talked about already, but we'll get them the information. 3, our property taxes continue to rise. PUC bills are through the roof from continued poor leadership, which, like I said, things have changed at the PUC. Finally, we have a group there to right the ship. Okay, he agrees with that. Okay, so as a new general manager, so that's good. Like I said, everybody bear with me here. 4, City Hall is in dire need of costly repairs or will be paying a large bill to rebuild that. 5, rumors are getting stronger that a public works facility is in the works to house all public works, HPD, and Hibbing Fire Department. Another very large cost coming to us. 6, if the project comes to be, city labor costs will rise with more employees along with utilities, insurances, and all other costs for each year after the door opens for a year to come. Finally, this community has lost a lot of transparency of our city government business with that meeting of the whole, he means committee of the whole meetings, done with no cameras. We get to see the council meetings on Channel 7, usually lasting 10 to 15 minutes. All business voting 6-1 or to 7-0 with almost no discussion on all matters. Let's get back to giving your taxpayers or bosses the information we deserve. We need all the information we deserve. We need this project completely out on the table, so each and every taxpayer can make an educated vote on November 8th, 2022, and we can be proud of our results wherever they fall. Okay, I'm going to answer a couple of these. He's not here. It's taped. I'm sure he's probably watching. It's on live stream. I said this at committee of the wholes, and I've said it at other meetings, and I'm going to say it now, and I say it straight out. If people might like it, might not. First of all, by law, we don't, and Randy, if I'm wrong, stop me like you always do. By law, we don't have to tape the meetings or televise our committee of the whole meetings, right? Okay, so what I say to everybody, and I'm going to say it here because he's watching, get your asses off the chairs if you want to know what's coming on. We all got elected. We miss hockey games. We miss birthdays. We come here and we try to do our best. So this really ticks me off when people accuse us of not being open, because we follow what the law states. If you want to know what's coming on, come to a committee of the whole meeting. If you want to sit for 4 hours like we do, and every counselor here and everybody that works for the cities know they go that. If you guys want to go back to having council meetings that go for 4.5 hours, we can do that too. But we discuss, and like I said, every one of the counselors know, we don't agree on everything all the time. We argue it out at committee of the wholes. But we come here. You elected us to come here. So that's what really gets me mad when someone says this, but I'm sure he's watching. And he'll call me up and I'll tell him the same thing. Come to him, get your ass off the couch, because we're here and we got elected by the people, so we show up. Second of all, there's a couple other things I'll answer here. The part about rumors, I've said it again, we've all said it. This is conceptual. Let me see what other one I wanted to answer. Oh, the public safety building. Yes, we do need a new public safety building. Number one, people might not like this, but public safety has to be the first thing in this town. Fire and police. And we can't even get a new ladder truck right now because it will not fit into our building. There's males and females now that work at the fire department. There's no separate places for the females and males. They have to take time changing and everything else. They're on call. They live there 24 hours a day. So we need to address that issue. We had the state, the Senate bonding tour, and the House bonding tour come through this year. We're asking for, our ask was for 11 million. Yes, we are working on that right now, and every councilor agrees. That's our first step, is to do the public safety building. So it's not a rumor. We've already had the bonding tour here. We're hoping we get $11 million next legislative session. We'd like to have more. Usually they'll give you half if we're lucky. So we're looking at, and this is a rough estimate too, 22 million. So to answer that question, so he knows and everybody else know, that's our first priority, is to do that. And that's why the bonding tour came here this year. Just like we had the bonding tour come here 2 or 3 years ago for the Mind View. We're halfway done with that. There's a little hiccup because the state runs the way they want to run. I won't get into the state because that gets me mad too. But like I said, so we've got that project. We got money coming for there. We're working on the public safety building. Campground, we've been working on that for 10 years. That's starting to come for rotation. And like I said, this is conceptual right now. So I want to answer that question about the public works building. And it's not a public works building. We moved our garbage trucks from the Town of Stunts building down to where the public works is now, where it's combined with the state and the county, and now we're all in one building, so that helped us there. That's a cold storage building. We're using it for storage now. So there's the couple. I'm not going to get in the rest. He can call me up and if he wants to know anything else on that. So I just wanted to get through some of those things. But the one that gets me the most is about transparency. We have a lot of meetings, and like I said, I've been here 10 years, and we do a lot of meetings. So. Okay, next up we have, there's 2 left, L'Oreal Brown. State your address, I know who you are.
Hello, my name's L'Oreal Brown. I'm at 2618 7th Avenue East in Hibbing. Lifelong resident, done many things in the community. Right now I'm owner-broker of First Realty Range-Wide. I'm here as a real estate broker, but also as a community member and as a business owner. This is my 3rd business I've had in this community. I obviously like Hibbing. I want to see Hibbing succeed. And if we don't do something, we aren't going to succeed. I give everybody credit that is coming up with ideas like this to do something. I was part of a committee that was at the school, and we were looking at like a 40 million expansion there to add facilities that you're incorporating some of this into that. But a friend of mine back talked about earlier when we started that you look 30 miles to the east, you look 30 miles to the west, and guess what? You have 2 communities that have decided to take a chance and do something, and they're thriving. Hibbing isn't thriving. I don't care what anybody can say. Hibbing is not thriving. We're surviving and barely. If we don't do something, we aren't going to survive. We aren't going to make it go. So please start. I've been hearing about this expansion, I think, for 20 years. Close Peak, probably 20 years this has been talked about. It's been a long time we've been talking about this. We got feasibility studies, we got all that. You know what? Sometimes you just take a chance and do it. Nothing against anybody who wants to do the feasibility study and all that, that's great. But the reality is, look to the east and look to the west, there's your feasibility study. They got things happening, they got expansion, they got people coming to town. L&M Radiator's looking for 40 workers to come there and work. Guess what? They can't find them. They're hiring Mexicans from the temp agency to come up here and work in Hibbing, Minnesota. Good for them, that's great, whatever it takes. We don't have people to fill the jobs we have. Minnesota Twistville and Chisholm is looking for workers. These are living wages that are out there and available for people that we can't find workers. Why don't we have workers? It's not because we have lazy people. The Range has workers. We can't get somebody to come up here because there's nothing for them. What the heck are their kids going to do? What are the teenagers going to do? I had 40 foster kids in 20 years and my own kids. And so I'm just telling you that there is not enough stuff for our kids to do, and even for young adults. And if we don't start doing something, this community is going to die. It's time to do it. Quit studying it. Just frickin' do it. It's been studied to death, honestly, for probably 20 years. We had a thing going for the school. Then COVID hit. Wonderful COVID. It destroyed the world. We need to go beyond that. We need to step out, take a chance, and start doing something. Make something happen. I'm sorry, I'm adamant about this. I want to see Hibbing survive. I have 13 grandkids in the community. I want to have something for them. I want them. I talked my middle son to stay here. He's a teacher. He bought a building in town that he's renovating and trying to, historic building, and he's doing something with it, trying to add to this community. We need to add to our community, each and every one of you. And you got to do it now. No more studying. This shouldn't take 2 years. Baloney. Get it passed, do it, make it, we'll make it work. There's money out there, all kinds of money. Our president decides to throw the money out left and right. Nothing political about it, but it's out there. Find the money, let's do it. Let's make something happen. But don't study this anymore. Do it. Do it. Build it, and they will come. Gee, have you heard that before? Thank you.
Perfect timing, L'Oreal. They gave me the cut you off sign in the back, but I'll answer some of your questions when we get down at the end here. So, okay. Next up, we have one more. Mike Ferdine. How's it going, Mike?
All right. Yeah, I'm Mike Ferdine, 2210 11th Avenue East here in Hibbing. I was one of the members with the Blandon Leadership Group that did a community input meeting. It's almost 5 years ago now, and we did that. We gathered information from the community, the first time in 82 years at that time, and we took that information and put it into the study that Pete was talking about with the U of M Extension Service. And I have that executive summary here in front of me. I just want to refresh everybody's memory what that impact can do to the city and for the city, because like Mayor said, there's a lot of rumors floating around out there. And yes, the numbers have changed a little bit, but it shows the impact of what can happen in the town. So, executive summary. An estimate was made of the Hibbing Memorial Building's economic impact to St. Louis County area using proven input-output impact estimation techniques. Based on the most recent estimates, this at 2017 ice and dry floor events, its annual operation and visitors spending in the area generates $4.4 million in gross output, 52 jobs, and $2.5 million in value added to the local economy. Impacts stemming from proposed ice and construction projects include nearly $21 million in gross output and $11 million in value added. Local job impacts from construction include approximately 113 across the span of years required for completion. Growth of positive economic impact to the area from public and private investments projects could see the gross output of more than double to 9.4 million. So there again, you know, it's another study, but we did the study, and there's facts there that, you know, could bring a lot more money to Hibbing and pay for a lot more things down the road. So that's all. I just wanted to refresh everybody's memory from a few years back. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks. Thanks, Mike, sorry about that. Okay, I have one more. Corey and Ron, did they come in on time on this? Okay, so there's one more person. I don't know if they must have heard Aaron Ninja? Sorry if I butcher your name. I say that all the time.
I guess,
Name and address.
Aaron Ningen, 2719 3rd Avenue West.
Okay, go ahead.
So my concern, the project might just be great, and I don't think we're really, the details of that are pretty fluid. The only thing I really want to discuss is why we need to, on such an urgent basis, overpay for property that's empty anyway. And that likely will still be sitting there. If we do the project 4 years from now, that property is still going to be sitting there, and we will have collected 4 more years of property taxes. It's not fit for human habitation, and I've been in there extensively filming. There were pigeons flying in. People were paying $1,050 a month for an apartment that pigeons would fly in. There was mushrooms growing out of the wall on the stairwell on the way up. It truly is not a place that people should be living. The repairs would be astronomical. Evidently, it's sinking into the sewer, or that's what the tenants were told, that the building was going to be condemned because it's sinking into the sewer. First they were moved out saying there needed to be major repairs. And then a few weeks later, they were told, you got to get out right away because it's going to be condemned. Because it's irreparable. So if a person bought this property for $40,000 3 years ago, why in the world would the city pay $300,000 for, well, $150,000, I suppose, if you split it between the two, but why overpay for it? Fair market value a few years ago was $40,000, and I would think it would be much less than that since the building has declined every single year. So, I'm not opposed to the project, and I think it's great to have a group of people that are willing to do something in Hibbing is fantastic, and I certainly wouldn't want to discourage that because we definitely do need to make some progress. But it seems like we start these projects out by dropping some money into the pockets of people that have been around here making money off of the city of Hibbing forever, and I object to that. So I would really like to see some justification and not a quick vote tomorrow before we can learn how the property values were arrived at, on what basis would we decide to pay somebody 3-4 times when the building has been completely destroyed. It would seem like we'd have a quarter of the value than what he purchased it for. So, and also I have some concern about all the property taxes, the land value, the assessed land value, and that whole block, except for the 2 corner properties, went down every single year since 2017. And they started a quarter lot is quarter lot is 6,000 something at this point, and a 50-foot lot is 10,000 at this point. They all started out much higher 4 years ago, except for his. The 2 on the corner were the second property. I'm not sure the address, 2323 maybe, but the green building, that's the second one in, was valued at $15,000 steadily, 15, all of a sudden this year it jumps up to 25 in just the land value. How does that happen when everybody else on the block is dropping? So there's just enough sketchy things about it that I would hope the council would really look at that, because I've lived through project after project, starting with probably Endotronics, and what we see is that a few people get richer, and the project oftentimes doesn't work out, and the city's just left holding the bag. And I think the people that are left here, I think there's a lot of really good energy, and I would hate to see it get hijacked again.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, can I speak to some of that just a little bit? Is that okay?
Okay, go ahead.
Just my personal view on it. I
was gonna let us each speak a personal view at the end,
Okay.
but if you want, on that, so. Okay, then we can just go down. I'll go down like I always do at the end of a working session, if that's okay, Counselor.
You're running the show, not me.
Okay. I should have said at the beginning, we'll let each counselor can have like 5 minutes at the end just to talk and all that. First of all, I thank you everybody for their opinions. You know, besides the roundabout that we had nothing to do with because that was a state project, this is the second most people that's ever been to a meeting or committee of the whole, so I appreciate that, you know, and I appreciate all the opinions. And like I said, this is the second biggest crowd that we've ever had at City Hall since I've been here for 11 years. And like I said, the roundabout, that was put on by the state. We just sat back and they tell you what you have to do. So there. I appreciate everything. And like I said, the reason why this came about was about property and that stuff. And I don't know what we'll do tomorrow. That's going to be up to the council, how we do it, whatever. I'm going to let each counselor talk. You know, I'm sure they took notes and they might have a few opinions if they want. Like I said, I don't know where the people, this is all concept. I'm for a lot of things on the project and I'm not for some of them. I understand about having the hockey together. There's some things that we have a lot to do yet here. This isn't going to be down the road. I understand about the property values too. That's something I'm going to say, so I'll speak first. I agree with that we shouldn't pay that price for the property values. This is only my opinion and each of the counselors, and we've talked about this. I'm going to, like I said, I don't know what we'll do. We'll talk about it tomorrow. We might talk about it tonight. You know, but like I said, in my opinion, this is only my opinion, just like Councilor Bayless, and me and Councilor Bayless agree on a lot of the stuff. Sometimes we disagree on the stuff. My opinion is, I don't think we have to jump at this point to buy the properties. I mean, if we end up in the city and the people want a $40 million project, to me, if there's a letter, which we have a letter, and there's a letter written out to us, if the person wants a little more money next year, if we do our due diligence and we look at what the values are and all that, maybe we have to pay them a little more or a little less. My opinion is I'd like to wait on buying the properties till next year, but that's only my opinion. We're a council, we got elected by the people, and we all have a voice. We have one vote, that's it. Hey, like I said, some cities have a strong mayor. That in the end, the council can say what they want, and boom, the mayor can say no. Here, we each have a vote. So, like I said, that's my opinion. I'd like to wait about buying the property. I'm not against the project. I don't know if I want the whole project, part of the project. I understand, you know, there's a lot of things we got to look to. Carl had some great points. Other people had great points. Laurel, I'm going to argue with you on one point. Every town in this country needs workers. It's not just Hibbing, Minnesota. I work construction. We can't even find people that want to go. So I'm going to argue on that point, but that's all I'm going to say about workers. And that. I was born and raised in Hibbing. I left Hibbing. I love this town. I wouldn't have ran 3 times for the headache this is and missing meetings if I didn't care about this town. That's my opinion. So if people want to vote me in, again, they vote me in. If they don't, they don't. I can go on with my life. Like I said, I miss a lot of birthdays, just like every other counselors here do. So, like I said, there's a lot of stuff that goes out on Facebook, a lot of BS out there. I'm glad people came here. I'm glad we got to talk about it tonight. That's just my opinion. I'm going to start down the line. If any other counselor wants to say something, they can. I'll start with Counselor Hoffman, go this way. Start then with Counselor Schreiberger and go this way. Counselor Hoffman, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I'd like to thank the community of Hibbing for being present at our town hall meeting tonight, and to the folks that are either streaming or watching this meeting on TV. As an elected official, I want to do right by our taxpayers and make sure that all taxpayers are well informed. I believe that the item that is currently listed on tomorrow night's City Council meeting agenda is premature and needs to be deleted. The agenda item being brought forth is listed under bids and quotes, item number 2, letter A, City Administrator Pete Hyduk. Mr. Hyduk is seeking council approval for the purchase of 4 properties on the west side of the Hibbing Memorial Building in the amount of $470,000. In my opinion, there are too many unknowns that could adversely affect our taxpayers. With a $40 million proposed project to expand or renovate the memorial building, it is imperative we be fiscally responsible and transparent to the taxpayer. I believe this important decision should be placed on maybe the November ballot and be voted on by the people of Hibbing. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, everyone.
Councilor Hildebrand?
Yeah, again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. You can see a lot of support, and there's opinions on both sides, and we'll do our due diligence here to do what's right, what we believe for the city. That's what we're elected for. But I really urge people not to follow everything on social media. There's prices thrown out all over the place for what it's worth or what this building's worth or whatever it may be. It's one of those where the prices could go up next year. The buildings could be sold to whoever. So we've done this. We've talked about this for quite a while, and we have done our research for this. The prices may change. Who knows? So we'll do what's best for what we think is best for the town. So, and I'd like to thank Pete Tyduk for doing all he's done so far with this project. And I encourage everybody to hang around afterwards, ask questions, and you can take a look at the photos. It's not a complete project at this point. It's going to change. It probably will change, but it's more than just an ice rink. There's a lot that could go on there. There's a lot for seniors. There's a lot for the students coming over from the high school. It's a close location. We did look at 2 different locations. We've talked about this quite a bit, and this is the location we felt was best fit for the next 20 years. If you have a location off-site, we added up cost of extra employees. So we did talk about this quite a bit. It's not like this was just sprung on everybody. We have kind of been keeping it under wrap a little bit just so we could discuss and see what is right for the town. So I encourage you, don't follow social media on this. There's too many numbers thrown out. I got a lot of calls this week on a lot of this stuff. So we'll try to do what's best for the town here and do our research some more.
Councilor Harkinen?
Thank you. Thanks, everybody, tonight for coming out. Appreciate your time. Yeah, I mean, there was a couple people that kind of made it sound like we are just winging this and we're just going to throw it in there and we're just going to go for it. That's not the truth. We had a lot of discussions, a lot of research. We can talk about the study that was done by me and you, all the things we've already done to get this to the concept stage. One of the reasons we're having this meeting is to inform people. That's why we're here. It's why we're here, to find out the opinions of our citizens and what we actually want to do. My job as a city councilor, our job as representatives of you folks, is to simply put those facts together, and I'll put it very bluntly. Is this good for the city of Hibbing? That's what I've based every one of my votes on for, well, I guess a lot of years, 17 to be honest with you. That's what I have based all of my votes on. Is this good for the city of Hibbing? And I think that's all we have to look at. So once we're done with the numbers, and once we're done with the feasibility, once we're done with how we're going to pay for it, how we're going to fund it, who's going to be employed, how many more people are going to be employed, what's this going to do to our budgets, where are people going to come from? You know, one youth hockey tournament could be $100,000 to $200,000 in a weekend. Economic impact to the city of Hibbing. And that's the truth. That's not garbage. That's not numbers that I'm pulling out from my pocket. That's the truth. So we have to start looking at that. If we can double the number of tournaments, the number of activities that we're doing for our youth in the city, it doesn't help just the youth, which is first. It also helps the city. It helps every one of us because it takes less money out of our pockets too when it comes tax time. Okay? So that's where I'm going to base my vote. I had some concerns about the numbers as far as the housing, buying the houses. I've groused about this. I've been many sleepless nights over this, let me tell you. It even took time in my deer stand, which doesn't happen, but it did this year. It's been a tough one for me, I'll be honest with you, because I want to make sure that we're prudent with the taxpayers' dollars and all the things that we're elected to do. And I don't want to sound like a politician up here, because I'm honestly not. But the bottom line is, we'll make a good decision for the city of Hibbing. That's my point. Thank you.
Same deal. Thanks everybody for coming out. Those that support the concept, those that are looking to get more informed about it. I guess the one thing that I'll come out right away with it, that I disagree as far as pulling it off the ballot for purchasing the property. If we purchase a property, or if we vote on purchasing the property, it doesn't mean that we're doing the project for sure. Another issue we always have is parking. If the property, if it happens where we're not going to be able to utilize it, we're not going to find the funds for it, we still can utilize parking lot, and we'll have 2 buildings that have mushrooms and pigeons and are condemned out of the way. I think the neighborhood would probably appreciate that to go along with the whole plan. On the use side of it, and it's like you said, it's not just hockey. You have basketball potential, you have concert potential, pickleball, nice walking area for elderly people to enjoy a view of what's going on while they're getting some exercise. The curling club. So the biggest part that I want people to understand is it's not just hockey. Do I love hockey? Yes. But it's not just about hockey. So I'll just leave it at that. Like they said, we've been going over and over. It's been a deal that's been going on forever. I truly believe this is something that would be great for the community, residents, the children, the businesses, and I'm just going to leave it at that.
Councilor Fossil.
Thank you, Mayor. Just like everybody else, I want to thank everybody for coming out. It's really nice to see everybody. Social media. I do spend a lot of time trying to reach out to people and listen. There's definitely a lot of rumors out there, and that's why I think it's important to attend meetings and be informed. I think this concept where we're at is just truly an amazing idea for the city. I think when you look at things like indoor walking, indoor conference space, this wish list of what we've got here, a rooftop convention center, a rooftop event center area. These are things that everybody's asking for. Like, hey, we want somewhere to go in the winter. When it's 40 below out, where am I going to go walking? And it's not just the elderly. I like to walk in the winter, and I don't want to be outside. So it's something that can be used by everybody in the community, and I think that's super important. It's hockey, it's pickleball, it's basketball, it's events that we can do as a community together, and I think that's super important for us. And I like Tim's question. Is it right for the city? Is it the right decision? And I think that it is. I think we have to move forward. We have to develop something for our community. So that's what I think about the project, I guess.
Thanks, Mayor. I'll be cliche and thank everybody for coming, as everybody else did.
But this time, that's why people don't know I jump around how we do this.
Yeah.
The last counselor, it's all.
Yeah. So now, I don't want to kind of beat all the same points, but a few years ago, back before I ever ran for city council, I put a small group of people together on Facebook, and kind of became that place where people got to voice their opinion. And on that group, we had an overwhelming need in our community for exactly this type of thing. Everybody said on that group that they wanted a rec center. They want somewhere for the kids to go. They want somewhere to do activities where we can't enjoy them in the wintertime. We need more things for people to do. And that's kind of been part of my mission in being on the city council and even being involved in city government. So this project can go and it can be something wonderful, or it can become a sore spot. I don't think we're making decisions up here based on who owns property and really what their asking price is. Not to say we're not going to be cognizant of that, but the question was asked, what do you want for your property? They gave us a number, and that's the number we have to work with at this time. So really, that's one of the questions that doesn't factor into me as much as, does Hibbing need this building? Do we need something more than we have? And I think the answer is yes. I'm not willing to throw away a multi-million-dollar project that can benefit everybody in this town because we're not real happy with somebody that owns property that's falling apart, okay? I've received numerous complaints about some of the properties in question. Why don't you do something about it? Why does the city allow that to happen? Well, we don't. We want to do something about it, or at least I do. I won't speak for everybody else. So just to be clear, we're not making a decision based on who owns what. We're making a decision on what we want to offer and provide to the people that live in this community. So I'll be really clear. I am absolutely in favor as a city councilor of this project. I have no doubts about whether it's positive or not. I think it is a great idea. Whether we do everything on the list or half of the list, we'll decide that in the long run. But this is something we need. So, and I would feel free, or I would tell anybody that's here or anybody that's watching on TV to feel free to call me. My cell number is on the city website. If you have questions, if you want information, good, bad, or indifferent, I am more than willing to talk with somebody that hates this idea or somebody that loves it. I don't care either way. I will offer any help I can. So that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
And like I said, it's on the agenda for tomorrow. No one knows exactly. Oh, jeez. Okay. Usually I'm yelling, but, okay, it's on the, I don't, yeah, whatever, Ron. The timekeeper again. Okay. Like I said before, I appreciate everybody's opinion, and you know how I feel. Everybody knows how I feel about social media. Whichever way anybody votes tomorrow, you people that want to sit on social media and hide behind it and all that, if people vote yes for it, to buy the property, or they vote no, I'm sure it's not going to make everybody, 50% of the people are going to be pissed off, the other 50% will be happy. So, we don't know what's going to happen till tomorrow, okay? I mean, some of us, you heard, hey, we feel this way, yes for the property. Some of us say, no, we don't like it that way. Who knows what will happen in the next 24 hours. But like I said, we all ran for a reason to do the best we can for this town. I think we got a good council up here now. It's a mix of people. Like I said, we argue and we argue. And that's what I mean. If people want to come and sit for 3 hours on a committee of the whole, tonight, it went pretty good. I mean, I respect everybody that's here. Everybody was cordial and no one's yelling and screaming. And truthfully, if it happened, Steve knows we'll kick them out. So it doesn't matter. But like I said, whatever way people vote tomorrow, I know I can't control you, what you're going to say. I'm never going to vote for this person, or I'm going to vote for this person because he's my hero. None of us needed this job. We're just crazy enough that we all said, yeah, we should run. So like I said, respect all the counselors, whatever way they vote, because in the end, this is conception right now. Like I said, there's one thing they're doing, so I appreciate everybody being here. Otherwise, I need a motion, a second for adjournment.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming.